Welcome back to You Can Beatbox after a long absence, which I apologize for. Today we're going to be back with the tutorials kicking it with the fast TKT sounds, or the really fast hi-hats made popular by beatboxers like ZD, Skiller, Reap Swan, Babali, and Alum. In the world of wind instruments and orchestras, this sound is also called double tonguing, which allows people to make really fast notes in quick succession. When you're beatboxing, you might notice that when you try and make a lot of hi-hats quickly, you might lose steam, like fast TKTs allow you to break through that barrier. This sound is called the fast TKTs because that's exactly what it is. It's alternating the T sound and the K sound really quickly. For an in-depth look at both of these sounds, check out this tutorial right here, but the basic gist of both the sounds is that you make the T sound and the K sound, but you really only emphasize those parts of it, like the T and the K. And the next step is just putting them together in a fast sequence, like. And that's really the technique behind the fast TKTs. But before we do any practice beats, here are a couple quick notes. First of all, as with most things in beatboxing, this sound does take a lot of practice. When I first started doing this sound, I was nowhere near as fast as I am right now. One good way to practice building up speed is by either getting a metronome or just tapping your finger on something and keeping the TKTs in rhythm, like. Point number 2. Try not to use your voice when you're making the sound. I know that I do have a tendency to use more than just air and sometimes throw in my voice for this, but in my opinion, unless you're really trying to add a new effect, it doesn't add much to this sound and it really just makes things sound sloppy. So just remember, if you're trying to do a fast, technical beat, only use air and not your voice. Lastly, remember that while this is just T's and K's for this specific sound, don't be afraid to throw in other sounds as well, like the open hi-hat sound, like the tss. I'll talk about this more after we do the practice beats, but remember this is a sound that you can experiment the hell out of. And now on to the practice beats, and remember that I will be posting a second video with more practice beats, but now on to the 2 ones for this video. Alright, so here's beat number 1. And now on to beat number 2. You might have noticed that the second beat uses the open hi-hat sound like I mentioned before, and this transitions perfectly into talking about different mouth positions. The TKT sound only uses your tongue, which means that your voice box and your lips are free to change position to get different effects for this. For instance, if you do a half smile sort of thing, you can get the effect of adding a filter onto your beatbox, like. You can also get a cool effect by adding lip oscillations, which we learned in the second tutorial, and this can create a pretty cool effect. And that about wraps up our discussion of fast TKTs. Leave a comment below if you have any questions about this sound, or if you have any other tutorial ideas that you want me to do. Don't forget to clickety-clack on that subscribe button and like this video as well, wherever those 2 buttons are on this new YouTube format. And next time we'll be learning throat bass.